All right, let's do the next one. All right. Can you guys go to your computer, go to my website, and open the Trig identity? I'll wait for everyone to open the identity page. It has Pythagorean identity, even and odd, and so on. You could add stuff to it, okay? I'll wait a bit for you guys to. You have it? You have that thing opened up? It's in my website. My website, akmcsn.com. You have that open? Yes, sir? Hannah? Okay, so let's look at it. All right, this section, all right, this is all about establishing identity. So, sine of theta, prove sine of theta, cotangent of theta plus tangent of theta equals secant of theta. You have to prove that. Whenever you have to prove that equality, you cannot just start with this and this is what you do. Like, don't do this. Don't do this. And what you do is divided by sine of theta one side, you do the sine of theta on the other side, right? Do not do that. If you do that, I'll give you automatic 0. I don't care. I'm going to stop right there. So what you want to do is start on one side and arrive to the other side. And you want to pick on something really hard on one side. So sine of theta, cotangent of theta plus tangent of theta. Start on that side. See if it will equal to secant of theta. That's what we want to go to, all right? So let's look at it. Let's try to simplify it. So sine of theta equals cosine of theta over sine of theta plus sine of theta over cosine of theta, right? You guys have that? Now distribute that. When you distribute that, what do you guys get? Cosine of theta plus sine square of theta over cosine of theta. Now you have to get the common denominator, remember? Cosine of theta, cosine of theta. You get cosine square of theta over cosine of theta plus sine square of theta over cosine of theta. Now, since the denominator is the same, you could combine them. And wow, look at this. What is this equal to? I become secant of theta. Done. All right. Y'all ready? Let's do another one. Prove cosecant of theta minus cotangent of theta equals sine of theta 1 plus cosine of theta. So what side do you want to pick? This one is a little bit interesting. Can you pick, do you want to pick left or the right? Does it matter? What side do you want to pick, Hannah? You like the left side? Okay, let's pick the left side. All right, let's work on it. Is that right so far? And then I get 1 minus cosine of theta over sine of theta. What? It's not there yet. Look at it. It's kind of like reciprocal of it, but it's the negative of that. So what can I do to this? I'm going to multiply by its conjugate. Ready? 1 plus cosine of theta, or 1 plus cosine of theta. So when I multiply its conjugate, the top becomes what? Cosine square of theta. Is that right? Over sine of theta equal 1 plus cosine of theta. Ooh, look at that. What happens to this one? It just becomes what? Sine square of theta over sine of theta. 1 plus cosine of theta. And you cancel this out and you get sine of theta over 1 plus cosine of theta. Wow. Now that looks like, what? Right over here. These are good? Let me make the problem now. Let me give you some harder problem. Sine square of theta minus tangent of theta over cosine square of theta minus cotangent of theta plus tangent square of theta. Okay, try this one. All right, what side do you guys want to pick? What side do you want to pick? Pedro, what side do you want to pick?
Right side.
Right side? No, you want to pick the complicated side. You never want to pick the side that's small because you don't have enough tools to work with. So pick the side that you have more information in it. Okay? All right, so let's look at it. Ready? Did anybody do this yet? Jamie, you finished it? Okay. Help me out, Jamie. Cosine of theta over sine of theta. Am I doing it right so far? Right? Now I have to do common denominator. Cosine of theta over cosine of theta. Cosine of theta over cosine of theta. Let's look at it. And what does it become? Sine square of theta, cosine of theta minus sine of theta over cosine of theta divided by, oh, sorry, this is sine. I get cosine square of theta, sine of theta minus cosine of theta over sine of theta. And this means division, right? Copy. Copy. Paste. It means division. And what do we know about dividing by fractions? What does it do? You just multiply by its reciprocal. So this becomes sine of theta over cosine square of theta sine of theta minus cosine of theta. Okay, I'll wait a bit for you guys to copy all this down. Then you could simplify it. You could take certain things out and then it will divide itself. Do you want to take part on this? On afterward? No. Okay. Can you watch a video on afterward? Have you ever tried it? Who else has an Apple Watch? Mike? You want to do it? Right. Yeah, I can take that. It'll be super quick. Is it mountain bike or regular bike? Road bike. Okay. So now let's look at it. This becomes what? Let me make my life a little bit easier. Sine of theta. Then I get sine square of theta cosine of theta minus sine of theta. Cosine of theta, I get what? Cosine square of theta sine of theta minus cosine of theta. Right? Is that correct? Now my question to you, ready guys? What can you factor out of this? You can factor out what? Sine, right? And what can you factor out of this? Cosine. And let's see what happens. Sine of theta, and I'm factoring out that sine. And what do I have left inside? Sine of theta, cosine of theta, minus 1. And then cosine of theta, cosine of theta. And I get, oh, look at that. Cosine of theta, sine of theta, minus 1. Look at this. This becomes what? Sine square of theta, cosine square of theta, which is what? Tangent square of theta. Whew. Remember, for proving, you have to start on one side and you have to arrive to the other side. All good? Are there any good vegan restaurants in town? Actual vegan restaurants? Like, what do? You just sit there and like look at the sky and think about eating food? They give you actual, really? Where is it? It's called Veggie Nation? I bet the food is not that good. There you go. Whatever they said that you'll get used to it is never a good sign. All right. So we want to do this problem. So Pedro, for this problem, what side do you want to pick? This time you're correct, yes. So cosecant of, oh, this is cosecant. Cosecant of theta minus sine of theta equals sine of theta. Okay? So let's work with it. 1 over sine of theta minus sine of theta over sine of theta. Is that correct so far? Now let's multiply to get the reciprocal. Oh, I can do sine of theta over sine of theta. And I get what? 1 minus sine square of theta, sine of theta, divided by sine of theta. Basically 1 minus sine square of theta over sine of theta times 1 over sine of theta. This gets what? 1 minus sine square of theta over sine square of theta. Ooh, 1 minus sine square of theta is what? It's a Pythagorean trig identity, which is what? Cosine square of theta, sine square of theta. It becomes cotangent square of theta. Done. Maybe I'll try some vegan food. What's that? Is there any, like, without going to Fremont, do they have any? What is it called? Greens and proteins? Oh, Del Taco has vegan food? But who goes to Del Taco? Oh, ew, Chick-fil-A. It's so nasty. All right, the two worst kind of food there are restaurants. One is Chick-fil-A, the other one is Cane's. It's like, ugh. What? Ugh, it's just like I ate chicken finger. It made me sick. I was like, ugh. Like, when you're 18, you could do dumb things, and eating cane is one of the dumb things you do.